Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. The show where, just like you, we can't get enough sports.
The 47-year wait is over! And the Nuggets win it! Wilson throwing, it's up for grabs, and he's caught for the touchdown! And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50. And the Avalanche are 2022 Stanley Cup champions! And a shot into the back of the net for Diego Rubio!
Now here's your hosts, Arthur Knight and Larry Perkins.
1-0 Rapids. They are champions.
Yo, yo, yo. What's good in the hood? Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. I am Arthur Knight, and we are coming to you, I am coming to you live from 4300 West Alameda here in Denver, Colorado. From So High Cafe, come on by, get you some Viper Pit barbecue. Make sure you tell Vinny that the Sportz Phenz sent you.
Because I chime in.
He chimes in. He will chime in from time to time, so you have heard the voice. It almost sounds like the voice of God when it comes. No, I'm just kidding. Don't let me get blasphemous. Anyways, yeah, no, I'm not
Sunday,
trying to.
bro. Sunday.
I'm not trying to go to hell. Forgive me, Lord.
Okay, bring it on down to So High Cafe.
I mean, I want to live, and then I want to live eternally. Thank you, and not in damnation.
I don't even remember what you said. You were good.
Yeah, we're moving it. We're just gonna gloss over that and move on. So I got a lot to get to, but let me get to this first. Book now at INV Vision. We are brought to you by INV Vision at 700 South Buckley Road, Unit K, Aurora, Colorado. INV Vision is an optometry office that provides comprehensive eye exams and medically focused eye exams in Aurora, Colorado. You can reach them at 720-762-4290. That's 720-762-4290. Or you can reach them at ienvyvision.com. That is EYEENVY vision.com. Stop on by. Tell Bryson the Sportz Phenz sent you. See if you can get a discount. Just mention Arthur Knight. All right. So, lot to get to. The NBA Finals is set. It's the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pacers have been to the finals but have not won. And Oklahoma City, this is the first time or second time. Maybe this is the second time as well, because I think OKC with KD and Westbrook and Harden all got to the finals but did not win. I believe they got beat by LeBron in Miami, but I could be fuzzy on my past on that. But either way, neither one of these teams has won a finals. I'm leaning towards the Pacers only because the Pacers are just as deep and they have better shooting off the bench. So the Thunder's defense, I haven't had a chance. I was trying to look up what if the Pacers had to play OKC this year at all and what that series looked like. I had not gotten a chance to do that. But just judging off of how the Pacers have won their way through the playoffs, they are just as physical defensively than OKC is. This may even come down to, and don't take me the wrong way, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but literally this could come down to the whistle. It could come down to, is OKC going to get that preferential whistle, specifically SGA? Is he going to get the MVP whistle the entire series? Or are the Pacers going to be allowed to play the same style of defense that OKC plays, and the refs are just going to let them play? I say let them play. Both defenses are very stout. Both defenses are very physical. It's the type of defense I like, except for the fact that my team doesn't play that way right now. They did at one point in time, and that's how they won a chip, but they're not playing that style of defense right now. I mean, they did when they got into that little bit of that trap defense that they played against OKC. You could see glimpses of it, that it could come together. Let's see what a full offseason is with Adelman and see if he can implement, plus the additions that the Denver Nuggets add coming in this offseason. So And I'm going to get into that as well. I want to see what y'all think about the free agency coming up for the NBA. I'm also going to get into some NFL stuff if I get time to. I want to recap. I did a bit of a homer. I went back and I was looking at the show to make sure I didn't need to do any editing, and I was also checking my notes on the schedule that I picked for the Broncos and realized that I was either really high or just being a real homer, because I have the Broncos only losing 2 games, and I'm just like, nah.
I was listening to that. You were doing pretty good with them.
I mean, if I was the one out there playing, Vinny, then you know what I'm saying? Like
we're winning.
If I was coaching, and I was like, yeah, man, we only losing 2 games, and I don't look like a homer. But me, I'm not playing a game. I'm sitting behind a mic, and realistically, the Broncos are probably going to lose more games, but we'll get into that. Back to OKC and the Pacers. A preferential whistle is going to crush the Pacers. I don't think the NBA wants OKC to sweep. I'm not even sure they would want a gentleman's sweep. And like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but money in a series is a big thing. TNT, ESPN, they have a lot at stake having these games scheduled on their... It's funny, Mark. You're throwing me off, but it's funny that you say that, because I thought to myself, Mark is going to say I'm a homer for these picks. It's so funny that you say that. I am a homer sometimes. I'm realistic, though. Obviously, I went back and reanalyzed and looked and was like, oh, yeah, they're not going to just lose 2 games. I was kind of in a rush, too. I was in a time crunch. I'm not trying to make excuses. I just know that that's what happened. So anyway, but I do think if the whistle is even, I don't want Indiana to get a good whistle. I don't want OKC to get a good whistle. I honestly want this to go 7 games just because I'm a basketball junkie and I don't want it to be over. And I honestly, like I was saying, like the NBA, it's money, man. This is a business. If they have 4 games in the finals and OKC wins all 4 of them, they're going to lose even more of their fan base than they have in the past, decade or so. Nobody can lie that the numbers have gone down, and to a certain extent, the product is not as good as it has been in years past. Yes, the athletes are better and more athletic. They're bigger. You have players like Jokic and like Nas Reed, and you have like these guys that are like 6'8", 7 foot tall that that has never happened. That has never happened. That is a lie. That's all cap right there. I've never picked. I did pick. I also won that year, but I didn't pick all Broncos. I did pick 4 Broncos on my team, and I did win the championship that year. I just want to remind you of that I did win that year. Anyway, you keep trying to sidetrack me, Mark. I see you. You act like I'm not reading these. I am reading these. So anyway, I think that excuse me. I think that if the whistle is even, that the Pacers actually win this series in 6 games. I was talking to, my good friend Ryan. You guys know him, Ryan Lagan. And so we were discussing it a little bit, and I honestly think this is the way this is going to go. It's going to go, OKC's going to win their 2 home games, okay? And then the Pacers are going to win their 2 home games. And then the Pacers win Game 5 in OKC and then close them out in Game 6 in Indiana to take their first NBA championship home. I do not think that OKC can play at the pace that, I mean, did you watch that game yesterday against New York? I mean, New York isn't as deep, and Thibodeau, you know, he has a similar carnal mindedness of, you know, I'm going to play my top 6 players in the playoffs, and that's how the playoffs is played. And OKC, the Pacers, Minnesota, all of these teams that were in the playoffs this year, even Boston is pretty deep, and they play deep into their bench. But most of the teams that had made it far or to the second round had a deep bench. The 2 teams that are playing in the finals have a deep bench. So it's not weird to me that both of these teams right now are into the finals. Other teams need to take note, period, including the Denver Nuggets, need to take note because the Nuggets started that whole trend when they first, you know, started this whole uprising or their rise to the top. Thank you, sir. They always had a deep bench. That was always the claim to fame, is that the Nuggets can go deep into their bench. But the problem is they didn't have enough experience. And then when they did get enough experience on the bench, that is when they won their chip. Is the Nuggets were very deep that year. They did, yes. Bruce Brown, you know what I'm saying? Jeff Green were the 2 main components off the bench that you know kind of propelled the Nuggets into the championship. But you know, Coach was playing like 8 or 9 guys during that whole time, during that whole rush to the cup, right? Or not to the cup, to the chip. Excuse me. I got my hockey terms all mixed up in my head. But anyway, I do think Indiana is going to win this series. I do not think that Oklahoma City has enough. I mean, now Siakam's going to have trouble with the Twin Towers over there in Hartenstein and what's that boy's name? Holmgren. I always keep forgetting that boy's name. But anyways, he's going to have some trouble getting the numbers that he got against New York, because New York didn't have that kind of size. And Cat's not that physical of a guy. He could block shots and stuff, but it has to be from the weak side when he's hovering around the rim. He's not that great of an on-ball defender. He's not bad. I'm not trying to take anything away from my brother. I'm just saying he's not the best on-ball defender. He's not fleet of foot. He's constantly limping. Like, did you see him in the game yesterday? He was trying to limp. I don't know if he was trying to make excuses or whatever, or if he really was hurt. I don't know. But as I've been telling people during this entire series, he's going to eventually fade on his team, and that's exactly what he did. So who do you got? Hit me up, you know, post on social media, post on our Jesus, I'm drawing a blank here. Our YouTube channel. Just make sure you post. Just let me know. You know, post inside our chat right now. You know, who do you got? Who do you got in how many games? Because like I said, I've got Pacers in 6. I think they take home their first chip. I think Oklahoma City will be there again eventually. I mean, hopefully not, because hopefully the Nuggets can do something in free agency to, you know, counterbalance and get that depth that they solely need. Jokic needs help. And so does, you know, I don't know if they're going to keep Murray, but they got to do something. They've got to do something. I definitely don't want Kroenke, if he's going to assume the general manager role, like it seems he's going to do. I just don't want him to sit on his hands. You know what I'm saying? They got to do something in free agency. They have no picks. They have a bunch of guys that are dipping on unrestricted free agency or have player options. But you know, with that said, let's get right into that, man, because I want to talk about the free agency, the NBA free agency coming up. I just, you know, available right now, there is a lot of players that the Denver Nuggets can target. Now there's going to be some moves that need to be made. Okay, the Denver Nuggets are going to, and I know this is not liked or favorable take, but the Denver Nuggets are going to have to remove at least one of their starting core in order to make any moves or to get any deeper. Obviously, you keep Jokic. But you've got AG. I think he's coming in on he's an unrestricted free agent on this list. My bad. I got my thing here on point guards. I want all positions, but let's just narrow it down to power forward. And see, a lot of teams in the West especially are in trouble. LeBron James is on this list. I think his is a player option. We'll see if he holds out to, secure his son's future as a Laker. We'll see if he holds out and forces the Lakers to sign his son on a long-term deal or a deal period. Because right now I believe he should be. I mean, he's got a deal, but he should be on a two-way. That's how they played it this year, but I digress on that. But Aaron Gordon, yes, is on this list. The Nuggets do have bird rights, meaning they can re-sign him above the cap without penalty. So hopefully the Denver Nuggets can retain. I know Aaron Gordon, he just built his home here. I don't think Aaron Gordon wants to go anywhere. I think he literally wants to retire here. He just moved his nephews here, built, I don't think he's going anywhere, even if he has to sign a team favorable deal. I think AG is a Denver Nugget for the rest of his natural NBA career, and I'm very happy about that because Aaron Gordon is such a great person. He's a great basketball player, but he's just a great person overall. He does a lot for the community. But anyway, there's a lot of notable names that the Denver Nuggets can go after, but again, they're going to have to sell off at least one of their starting five. So I was going down the list of who's untouchable. Obviously, Jokic, AG, they're going to re-sign. The only three viable players off the starting five is going to be MPJ, Christian Brown, and Jamal Murray. And the reason why that is because the sad part is I don't want Christian Brown going anywhere. I don't want CB going anywhere, but he has the most upside and trade value. Both Murray and MPJ have expensive contracts. They have extensive injury histories. They both are accused of disappearing either in the regular season or in the playoffs. They both have incredible upside and are still within their prime. But, I mean, the downside is, you never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get a healthy, in-shape Murray coming into the regular season? Or are you going to get the Murray that comes in not in shape and plays his way in shape during the regular season, costing his team valuable games when they could just rest him during the end of the season after the Nuggets have already solidified their position in the Western Conference. But no, he, comes in most of the time, reportedly comes in not in shape. So my hope and prayer is that MPJ is the one that goes. I think he's the one that has the most upside out of the two. But he doesn't have the trade value, and no team is going to take him with, like Najee or, you have all of these players on the bench that nobody's going to want that the Nuggets are kind of locked in with. They could buy him out. I don't know what Kroenke is going to do with some of these contracts, these terrible contracts that are on the books in order to make room. But I think the best possible is to move MPJ, and only because MPJ 7 years into the league, he still doesn't know how to really create his own shot, except for that, jab step back three that he does. We saw glimpses of him being able to drive and dribble drive to the rim and dunk it, and especially when he only had one arm. It's not that it's not possible. It's just that the Nuggets are in a window to where, if you already know what you're going to get from Jamal Murray, you know what I'm saying? We already know what we're going to get from him. The variables that surround MPJ, you just never know. He's not consistent. He should be a night in and night out double guy, but he's not. He doesn't look to get his points off of rebounds for the most part. He looks to get his points off of getting a pass, or Murray's dribble drive and he gets an open look. That's his main. Now, granted, Adelman could change the entire script come next year, and there were some plays that he was drawing up for MPJ that looked like they were working. But I think that if you move him and you hopefully can extend Christian Brown, and you already signed Murray's locked in. The only one that's coming to an expiration is MPJ. Murray's contract is just starting, so I think he's going to be the hardest to trade unless you pair both of them. But then I don't know what team has the cap room to take on both, that's in a window that would want them. The only team that would be able to do that is some team like, it wouldn't be like San Antonio because they just got a whole bunch of number one picks. Maybe like the Bulls or, just any team that's just that bottom. I mean, Atlanta looks like they're trying to get rid of everybody. They're trying to wholesale get rid of their entire team and start from scratch. So a team like that would be viable to make that type of trade, but you are going to have to move one of them, and I think MPJ is the only one that you can do, because when you trade him, he only has 2 or 3 years left on his contract. Murray has just signed his. His is starting this year, so his is going to be, I think his is 5 years. I'd have to completely check on that, but I think his is 5 years. He's not going anywhere, and not because he was Malone's guy. It's because Jamal Murray does have an upside. I think if he comes in slow going in the first half of the season, this coming season, I think the Nuggets do try to find a dancing partner in moving him at that moment. You could even see kind of a body language of a frustration between him and Yoke, to a certain extent on the bench. Like Murray wants to be the focal point, and it's just like, bruh, right now we got to spread this around, and you're not really in shape. And whatever they're saying to him, I don't know what they're saying to him. I'm not sitting on the bench, but that's what I would be saying to him. Like, bruh, you didn't come into camp in shape, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's what Bones was complaining about when he got traded. Is that Murray's not putting in the effort. He's got all the talent in the world, but he's not putting in the work. Not that he hasn't earned his spot, not that he didn't put in the work. I'm not taking anything away from Murray. Murray's one of my favorite players in this league. Even if he wasn't on the Denver Nuggets, I would still be a Murray fan. Like, that's dead ass. I'm not even trying to front on that. But the facts are the facts, and those are facts. That's at least the press out on him is that he's not putting in the work in the off season. Even when he played for Team Canada, he didn't get the minutes. I think the book is out on him, and he just needs to show and prove that he can put the work in, because he's not getting any younger. But again, I go back to the MPJ point. He's got the closest to expiration. Yes, he's expensive, but you could match. Like, you could even trade MPJ for picks and cash, right? Cash considerations. You don't even have to trade him to another team that you have to match his contract, because you don't. You could do, as long as the team that you're trading him to has enough cap room to take him, and you match the cash and some picks, some sort of monetary value to the trade that matches his salary, they can make that happen. I just don't think you could do that with Murray. I really don't. I do not think you could do that with Murray because his is just starting and he's at the peak of his, not the peak, but the beginning of his contract. And I don't think any team is going to want to take that chance that he's not going to work out in the offseason and come in and play the first, 40 games out of shape and then, show up as playoff Murray after that. I don't think any team is going to want to pay him what like the Nuggets have. They're not going to want to pay that salary for that. He got a payday. He got his bag because the Nuggets love who he is and the Nuggets picked him 7th overall. And his value here is different than his value around the league because I'm realistic. Like I said, I would be a fan of Murray's, but I'm also realistic. His value for the Denver Nuggets is not the same as the value for other teams around the league, especially in the West. The West is stacked with point guards, okay? Stacked, like mad stacked. And the East isn't all that bad itself. They've got some pretty good point guards in the East too. So I'm not even sure Murray would be top 10 league point guard. Like, for real. I don't think he would be. And I'm just being realistic. But he's definitely top 25. Definitely top 25. But he's not 25. There's only 30 teams, right? So that means you got to find 5 teams that would be willing and can pay his contract, knowing that he's going to come in out of shape, et cetera, et cetera. So MPJ is the odd man out in that whole situation because obviously the Denver Nuggets want to extend Brown. They also drafted him. They drafted MPJ too, I get it. But Brown is only in his 3rd year and he has way more upside. Yes, that 3-point shot needs work. Yes, he needs to grow some heart. I shouldn't say heart. More like he needs. I know he's a not an arrogant guy. God, I'm just using all these negative words. He's a confident guy, but you can see in his play sometimes that confidence is fleeting, and at times he kind of implodes and is always trying to pass instead of looking for his shot. And I'm not saying I need him to be a ball hog of any sort. The Denver Nuggets don't need that. But they definitively need him to be a lot more decisive with the ball, drive the ball, look to score. But I think that's coming. We saw major leaps and glimpses of that, especially defensively. Like, this man should have gotten, if not in the top 3, he should have gotten most improved player. He basically doubled KCP. Everybody was moaning and groaning about KCP, and he doubled every single statistic offensively and defensively that KCP brought to the table, including 3-point shooting percentage. So I think the Denver Nuggets would do themselves a disservice to trade Brown. He's got that pedigree, man. He's got that it factor. Jokic loves that kid to death because he puts in the work. He's just got to get that confidence on that floor. Know that he's the best at his position when he goes to that rim. And just I know sometimes he goes up there with reckless abandonment, and we all love it. But I'm just waiting for him in year 4. He's going to make that leap. He's going to make another leap. You mark my words. He's going to make another leap. He's going to probably average somewhere between 21 and 23 points a game, plus stop your best player. So he's going to be that best two-way player that the Nuggets have. So I don't see him going anywhere. We already said the obvious reasons why AG is going to stay here, unless the Nuggets do decide to walk away, because of all of the injuries and whatnot. But I don't see that happening. And then Murray's contract is hard to offload. So again, MPJ is the odd man out. Now, you trade MPJ, get you a couple of picks, probably late first round, early second round picks. And then you go hunting in the free agency list. And here's some notable names that are out there that are they're unrestricted free agents. Now, most of these players all have, the teams have bird rights to all of these teams. And if you don't know what bird rights is, it's basically a qualifying. They're qualifying veteran free agents under the CBA. So bird rights basically permit teams to retain their own free agents beyond the salary cap. Here are some notable names that I see. Now, I'm not saying that I want the Denver Nuggets to target any of these players. Now, I'll tell you who I do want the Denver Nuggets to target from this list. But there are some notable names of unrestricted free agents on this list. The first one at the top is LeBron James for the Lakers. Well, we all know that, right? I don't need to tell you who he plays for. But 41 years of age, going to be 42 this year. $50 million was his previous salary, man. Does LeBron James stay with the Lakers? Now that they've got Luka, do the Lakers want LeBron to stay? Kevin Durant is also on this list. Kyrie Irving is on this list. James Harden is on this list. De'Aaron Fox is on this list. Porzingis is on this list. Julius Randle is on this list. Anthony Simons. Now that's a notable name right there. Anthony Simons is on this list. Pause real quick. I would not be mad if the Denver Nuggets went after him and moved CB to the 3 and traded away. I mean, like when I talk about who I want the Denver Nuggets to target, I want you all to keep in mind that I'm speaking of this is what if they've moved one of those top 4, because you know Jokic isn't going anywhere. But any one of those top 4. Now, my pick would be MPJ, but I'm saying if they move any one of the top 4, Murray through AG, that's what I'm talking about. And they didn't have to trade to get other players for depth. They just traded one of those players for draft picks and cash considerations. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind after I go through this list of notable names who I think the Denver Nuggets should target. Okay. So I'm going down here. Anthony Simons, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, Marcus Smart, Norman Powell. Let's see, Yusuf Nurkic, Rui Hachimura, Zach Collins. Let's see, I think that's about it. No, Jordan Clarkson. Even though he's a bit up there, he's a little long in the tooth, but man, that boy can still score. Naz Reid. Let's see here. Who else is on here? I know there was Kenyon Martin Jr. Let's see. Andre Drummond. Drew Eubanks. Some people are going to laugh at this, but Russell Westbrook. PJ Tucker. And that's about the only major notable names that are on here. And some of those were like depth players. They're not like superstars. But for the most part, the ones that I mentioned are superstars or all-stars, etc. Excuse me. So, did I mention Fred Van Vliet is on this list as well out of Houston? So, DeAndre Ayton is on this list. CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton. So those are a few of those role players that I'm talking about. They're all unrestricted. Some have bird rights. Some have early bird rights. Some of these players actually have like player options. Let me see. So here are the players that have player options, and we'll have to see if they opt out. Here's the number one is Damian Lillard. He has a player option of $58.5 million. That's million with an M. Excuse me, with an M. Man, I don't know if you walk away from 58 million, bro. I don't know if you do, but I could see Damian Lillard doing so. I think Minnesota's gotta figure something out because they traded for him and still weren't able to get back to the promised land. Bradley Beal also has a player option. Does he want to stay in Phoenix? Will he just pick that up for the paycheck? It's $57.1 million. Again, you don't just walk away from that, man. You don't. You honestly don't. Trae Young, is he fed up? Is he fed up with Atlanta? Would he just turn down $49.6 million, hoping that another team will give him that plus more? I think he could get that plus more. It would just depend on where he's going. And here's the most notable, because when Larry was here, I was explaining to him, like he was like, "Oh, Luka's the future, Luka this." The Lakers are at a crossroads right now. LeBron James is a unrestricted free agent. Yeah, they have bird rights, but he's an unrestricted free agent. He can go wherever he wants. Luka Doncic also has a player option that he has not picked up yet, as far as I know. He would have to walk away from $49 million. Denver Nugget fans, would you want him to walk away from that and come here and they trade away Murray and MPJ? And then you have Luka, Brown, AG, maybe P-Watt and Jokic. Woo, that would be crazy. But I don't know if that would work. The chemistry. But, I mean, we'd have to see. Anyway, Doncic is on this list with a player option. Does he take that option? Does he want to play in LA with LBJ? There's rumblings around the league that nobody really wants to play with LBJ. He's a bit of a diva and a prima donna, even though he's in his 40s. But either way, Luka Doncic does have a player option that would get him $49 million even. Another notable name on this is Zach LaVine, who just got traded to Sacramento. So they took a chance. They went full tilt. Sacramento did. They went full tilt and traded for him. His player option would give him $49 million. He definitely can get more than that, even with his injury history. Could he go to the LA Lakers? Like, where are all these people going to go? Andrew Wiggins has a player option. Draymond Green has a player option. Would Draymond want to walk away? Would Draymond walk away from his current team in Golden State Warriors? Are they willing to let him walk away? If he walks away, he's walking away from $27.7 million. But hey, we'll see. A notable name that we here in Denver know is KCP, or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He has a player option of $21.6 million. Will he walk away from that? Jakob Poeltl in Toronto has one. He'd be walking away from 19.5. Austin Reeves for the Lakers has a player option, 14.9. He's definitely outplayed that. I could see if the Lakers do not offer that man an extension, Austin Reeves is going to walk. He is not going to. I'm telling you right now, he is not going to take that player option of 14.9. He's outplayed that contract. He's outplayed that number significantly for the past 2 years. They should have extended him anyway, but they went full tilt on getting Luka, and Luka could opt out and dip out on that team, and I hope he does, to be honest with you. I definitively do not want to see him play long term in LA. I would rather Luka come to, a smaller market team and, do his thing there. I could even see him going to, Golden State or something like that. Even though they're not considered a small market team anymore, they're still a small market team, man. They've just won a bunch of championships because they drafted well. They, did a lot of great things in free agency, for the past decade, and they got their rings, right? Excuse me. So those are all the current players going into 2026 that have a player option. So somehow grab Paul George. I don't think Paul George is attainable, but because I think he just got an extension in Philly. I don't know how how they would get Paul George. I honestly don't, and I'm not being facetious here. I really don't. I don't know. So here is the list of players that the club or the team has an option on, okay? So these players are not going to be unrestricted free agents. They are bound by if the team is like, nope, we're going to exercise your option and keep you, they're going to keep you. Most notables on here is Isaiah Hartenstein, Bogdanovich, Lou Dortz, Victor Wembanyama is on this list. I'm pretty sure that Victor Wembanyama is going to stay in San Antonio. I don't think they're going to. I mean, even if they don't pick up his option, they're going to re-sign that man. If they don't, that would be the biggest blunder. And I don't think that Coach Pop is going to make that kind of blunder. With that said, Lonzo Ball is on this list. I'm pretty sure the club is not going to pick up that option. I think they're going to let him walk. It's crazy. Most of these players that have the club option are like role players. It's kind of crazy that the role players all get club options if they outplay their contract, but the stars, they get the player option, right? Anyways, here's a notable one, though, is Zach Edey for Memphis. Man, I would love that kid backing up Jokic. But hey, that's a club option. Let's see. There's not too many. Like I said, these are all main. I already named the main guys that would be like considered stars. Everybody else on here is basically a role player. Like Julian Strother's on this list. I think the Nuggets do pick that up. I think he's shown enough. Just got to get him healthy. Jalen Pickett, I think he's shown enough that he just needed to be given a chance. Now they didn't trust him in the playoffs all that much, maybe in the first series, and he did well. But I think they should pick up that option. We'll see. Hunter Tyson, I think the Nuggets will probably let him go. I don't think they're going to pick up that club option. At least they shouldn't. And I love Hunter Tyson. I love the cut of the kid's jib. I like his energy. But I think the Nuggets got to find guys that can help them win now. And because he has a team option, they would have to pick that up before they could, do a wait and see if this kid made any leaps or, in his game coming out of the off season. But man, that's the most notable ones that are that have a club option, etc. Okay, so back to all types here. So how I feel about what the Denver Nuggets should do, my team in particular, okay? Yes, Paul George, like you said, contracts. Yeah, we're not getting Paul George. PG is going to be in Philly for at least the next 2 or 3 years, because Philly has the same problem with him that the Denver Nuggets have with Jamal Murray, is they literally just locked them into contracts. So it's hard to move players that you just signed huge contracts with that have question marks over their head. Okay, just can't. So with that said, I'm hoping that CJ McCollum, and this is who I want the Nuggets to target. CJ McCollum, because he's an unrestricted free agent. Now that they have bird rights on him, but he's an unrestricted free agent. Let's see. There's another center here that I want. Let's see. Hold on. Let me break this down by positions, and I'll start with the guards, actually. Because if the Nuggets do decide to let Pickett go, right, and keep Strother, because we need a backup shooting guard. Now keep in mind, Russell Westbrook has a player option as well. Okay. So that could be the Denver Nuggets backup point guard next year, unless they do a trade like they did with the previous backup point guard, who my friend called the ugliest Nugget, but now I can't think of his actual name. Anyway, so guards. Okay, so the guards that the Denver Nuggets, and I'm talking about free agents. I'm not talking about, the people with the player options, just free agents, okay? CJ McCollum is first on my list as a shooting guard. He is past his prime in the sense that you don't need him to start, but he could start, right? He does have a little bit of injury history, but his numbers are a little more consistent than MPJ's. But they are lower. His 3-point percentage is lower. His field goal percentage is lower, period. He does play a little bit of less games, but he gets you more points per game. MPJ in his 7th year is like 18. I want to say he's 18.2. Yes, 18.2. And McCollum is 21.1. McCollum is also a lot more athletic, and he can play that 2-man game. So that would be, let's just think let's say it's Murray, Brown, McCollum, AG, and Jokic. That's 4 separate players on the court that Nikola Jokic can play that 2-man game with. And McCollum's very athletic. Yes, I know he's older. He's 12 years in the league. He's had some injury issues, even in New Orleans. But if he's coming off the bench, if the Denver Nuggets have him coming off the bench, and he's only going to have about, like right now he's playing 32 minutes a game. 32 minutes, he's getting 21 points a game. You cut that down to 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and you still get 18 points. That's the same thing you were getting from MPJ, who was playing 33 minutes, right? Even if you cut off 2 points, you're still getting more actual production from McCollum than you would be from MPJ, and he's a lot more stout on the defensive end. He can guard the 1 through 4. He can, he's tall enough, he's big enough, he's got enough size. I mean, I probably wouldn't put him on a 4, but he can guard it. I've seen him, guard AG a couple of times on a switch. He can do it. As opposed to Michael Porter Jr., who doesn't play solid defense at all, or at least not consistently. He just doesn't. So I would take McCollum, even though we're talking shooting guard to small forward. I'm just talking about in pure production. If you take MPJ out and you insert McCollum, even if you put him at the 3, where he played a couple of times, he plays a little bit in New Orleans. He played mainly shooting guard in Portland, though. He did play mainly shooting guard. But either way, he can play that 2 through 4 to a certain extent. Anthony Simons, even younger. if Portland allows him to walk, which I don't think they would, but if Portland allows him to walk, I would move CB to the 3 and bring in Anthony Simons as the shooting guard for the Denver Nuggets all day. All day. Do you know how much pressure that would take off of Murray? Do you know how open and spread the floor would be for CB and AG to just dunk on everybody? And then Jokic would just have to stand back and get triple doubles and only have to score when he needs to. That's it. That would be probably the best guard if they're keeping Murray and moving MPJ. Anthony Simons is the perfect fit to the Denver Nuggets offense, the way they want to run the offense. He cuts. He plays defense. He plays good on-ball defense. He's not great, but he plays good on-ball defense. He plays great team defense, and he's not all team, he's not all NBA defense or nothing like that. I'm not trying to build him up or nothing, but he plays good enough. He plays good enough that to where AG and Brown can cover the top 2 scorers for the other team, and then he could be that third guy, and then obviously Murray and Jokic not having to take the workload of having to guard any of those players unless it's on a switch. So that to me right there would be the guy. If Portland actually allows him, he wasn't on the player option, so I believe that he is a completely unrestricted free agent, meaning the Nuggets can sign him. Let Saric and all of them guys walk. I love DJ to death. Thank you for your service, sir. But we have to have cap room. Unless I don't think I can't remember if they signed him to a player option or not, but he wasn't on this list, so I didn't get to him. So he must be either signed onto a contract, and we may the Denver Nuggets may have to trade him, or they may have to buy him out and figure it out from there. But definitely, most definitely, you got to go after Anthony Simons. That's the youngest guy, still in his prime, can score. He can score on his own. He doesn't necessarily need Jokic to feed him the ball. He doesn't even really need Jokic to set his picks and everything. He's a guy just like CJ McCollum that can create his own shot without having to have somebody else create the shot for him, if that makes sense. Murray can create his own shot, but most of the time he gets his shots based upon Jokic. Okay, let's just be honest. That's the only 2 besides Jordan Clarkson. But this is so this scenario is if Russell Westbrook doesn't pick up his player option. I'd go after Jordan Clarkson or even Fred VanVleet would be a good option. I don't know if the Nuggets should go after Kyrie Irving or if Irving would even like to come here, but that would be a blessing because he, will be an unrestricted free agent. Granted, he doesn't get injured. Could you imagine having Kyrie Irving and Murray on the court together? That would be a nightmare for most teams. You could even Kyrie is the better point guard. Okay, he's not the better. Actually, he's the better guard all the way around, but he's definitely the best point guard out of the 2. So I would move Murray to the 2, okay? I'd move Murray to shooting guard and have him just do a lot of spot-up shooting and create his shot when he needs to, and then allow Kyrie Irving to work with Jokic because, man, that dynamic would be crazy. But, you could also get Marcus Smart to be your backup. That would give you a gritty on-ball defender off the bench that's a Brown style, maybe even better, style defensive player. That would be a pretty smart pickup there. But that's about it, man. I can't think of anybody else that. Austin Reeves, obviously, but he has a player option, and he's going to ask for a big payday. So. You also do have Mike Conley out there that you could have, but man, Yeah. All right, so let's go to the forwards because I'm running out of time here. I got 5 minutes. And I still haven't even gotten to my NFL picks. I'm not going to try to cram them in there today, so I'm going to, catch them on the next show. Friendly reminder that I will be at the Rockies game next week watching my daughter sing the national anthem with her choir, so we will not be recording next week. So there will be a gap in shows, but we will definitely see you at the same time on the 15th. We will have another show hot and fresh off the presses for you. So I hope you guys enjoy the week. But back to free agent forwards, small forwards that are out there. I don't even know why Porzingis is listed as a power forward. That dude's a center, but he's on this list. Kevin Durant, Denver Nuggets fans, would you like Kevin Durant on this team? I don't know if I would. I used to love KD, man. I used to love KD. And now I'm to the point where I'm just like, I don't even know if I like this dude. But if he wanted to come and play with Jokic to try to get that ring, man, I wouldn't be mad if they moved MPJ and slid him into the starting five. It would have to be on the cheap. But Kevin Durant has already gotten his bag. Maybe he would take a team-friendly deal and come to the Denver Nuggets to try to win another ring. That team would be very, very, very tough to beat if you're talking Murray, Brown, KD, AG, and Jokic as your starting five. But if you can't get him on the cheap, then you're defeating your own purpose, and you have to go deep. You have to get depth in your bench in order to get to the finals now. The Nuggets created the blueprint and then went away from it. I have no idea why, but they created that blueprint. Well, I do know why. It's because Tim Conley's in Minnesota, and Tim Conley is still building that team. Now, granted, Minnesota still hasn't gotten over that hump, but he's still showing that you can build a team and you can build depth and still be able to be a contender and have a couple of star players, and still have depth. They just don't have, I don't know what they're going to do about Naz Reid, because Naz Reid, I think, is not going to pick up his player option, or I think he is, if I remember correctly, he is an unrestricted free agent. But either way, I don't think Naz Reid is staying there. The sixth man of the year 2 years ago is not going to stay in Minnesota. If the Denver Nuggets can figure out a way to get him, I'd still take him. If you have to move on from MPJ, he gives you just enough three-point power, but he gives you that defensive prowess that you need solely on this team. You also have Mikal Bridges from the Knicks that should be available. You got Duncan Robinson. I mean, he's a little long in the tooth, but I wouldn't be mad. Rui Hachimura. I guarantee you Nuggets fans would take him coming off the bench behind AG. And then you move Piwat to the small forward position and allow him to float a little bit and be a ball swatter like he usually is. Yeah, man, there's not too many like great. I mean, Kenyon Martin Jr. would be a welcomed asset because he's young. He's still he's about to hit his prime. If Utah lets him walk, they're stupid. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's about the only notable guys when it comes to forwards. All right, so I got 1 minute left. Obviously, I need to talk about centers. I'm going to give you the top three that I want the Nuggets to target, okay, that are unrestricted free agents. And we'll try to do this within the next 30 seconds here. All right, Zach Collins, okay, here's my argument. DeAndre Jordan gave you 12 minutes a game this season, 3.7 points a game, 5.1 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.3 in steals, 0.5 in blocks, field goal percentage 0.65, and no three-point percentage, okay? Plus the free throw percentage was abysmal, 0.42. Zach Collins as a backup center, younger, okay? Not as strong, but can play the same type of game. Games played for Chicago, 64. He started 12 of them. He gave them 15 minutes and gave them 6.4 points. His average, though, over the course of his career is, it looks like, about 9 points, which the Nuggets could work with. 9 to 11 points the Nuggets can work with. 4.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists a game, so he can pass. 0.5 steals, so he plays D. 0.5 blocks, he plays D. His field goal percentage is higher at 0.5. He has a 3-point percentage. He's only 30%, but shoot, he can shoot the three. And his 3-point percentage is 0.88, so he shoots his free throws very well. That's who I think the Nuggets, and I hate that guy. I hated him at Portland. I've hated him all over the league. But that's who I think the Nuggets should target if they cannot get Naz Reid, because I think Naz Reid is going to ask for his bag, and I don't think the Nuggets are going to be able to give it to him because they already have issues with max players right now. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. We'll pick this up next week. Let's see what the Denver Nuggets do. Let's see what the NBA does. Let's see how many of these players actually pick up their options, who's going to get bought out, who's going to get traded, sign and trades, all of these things. It's going to be an exciting time within the next couple of months, even though there's no basketball after the next 8 days. Let's go Pacers. Let's see if the Pacers can win their first one. I will see y'all in a couple of weeks. Same time. Don't forget to come on by 4300 West Alameda. Vinny, let them know where you're going to be next weekend so they can come by.
I'll be here. Come on by.
All right, 4300 West Alameda. He's having some sort of party.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be gone Sunday. We're going to be up North Alabama.
There we go.
Just a little private party.
Oh, that's a private party. Okay, so don't go to that. But you can come here on the weekends, 4300 West Alameda. Get you some Viper Pit Barbecue. Tell them the Sportz Phenz sent you, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Deuces.